The day my CEO ruined my life started like any other Tuesday in downtown Chicago. I walked into the glass building with my usual coffee in hand, trying to ignore the tight feeling in my chest. I had been working at Carter & Company for 3 years, and every single one of those years had been under the sharp eyes of our CEO, Victoria Carter. She was powerful, beautiful, and cold, in a way that made you question your own worth just by standing near her. I used to admire her. Everyone did. She built the company from nothing after her father passed away. She was known as the Ice Queen of Michigan Avenue. Tall, always dressed in perfect black suits, long, dark hair pulled back, green eyes that never showed emotion. But if I am being honest with you, I did not just admire her. I was in love with her. I know how that sounds. A junior marketing manager falling for the CEO. It felt stupid and impossible. Still, every time she walked past my desk, my heart would beat faster. Every time she called my name in meetings, I felt proud, just hearing it from her lips. That Tuesday morning, my phone buzzed before I even sat down. "Ethan, my office, now!" Her voice came through the intercom, calm and firm. My stomach dropped. I quickly fixed my tie and walked toward the top floor. The elevator ride felt longer than usual. I kept thinking about the campaign I'd worked on all weekend. Maybe she wanted to praise it. Maybe she had finally noticed me. I knocked twice. "Come in," she said. Her office was huge, with floor-to-ceiling windows showing the Chicago skyline. She stood by the window, looking down at the city. When she turned around, her face was serious. "Close the door," she said. I did. She walked to her desk and picked up a file. My file. I recognized my name on the cover. "Ethan, do you know why you're here?" My heart started racing. "No, ma'am." She sighed and sat down. "We ran a review on last quarter's numbers. There are serious mistakes connected to your campaign." I felt the blood leave my face. "That can't be right. I checked everything." She slid the file toward me. "The board thinks someone manipulated data to make results look better. It points to you." The word manipulated hit me like a punch. I would never do that. She looked at me with those cold green eyes. "Intent does not matter. Results do." My hands were shaking. "Victoria, please." I swear I did not change anything. She froze for a second when I said her first name. I never did that, but I was too scared to care. She leaned back in her chair. "There will be a company meeting in 1 hour. The board wants to address this publicly." Publicly, I felt sick. When I left her office, I could barely breathe. My coworkers stared at me as I walked back to my desk. Words spread fast in our office. I heard whispers. Fraud. Fired. Lawsuit. I kept replaying everything in my head. I knew I had not changed any numbers. I stayed up until 2 in the morning checking every slide. Something was wrong. At 11 sharp, everyone gathered in the main conference room. The board members sat at the long table. Victoria stood at the front. She looked powerful, calm, in control. "Today," she began, "we need to address a serious issue regarding internal data." My chest felt tight. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, she continued. "It appears that false growth numbers were presented in last quarter's campaign." A murmur filled the room. She turned slightly and looked at me. "Ethan Brooks, the manager responsible, will explain." Explain. She wanted me to defend myself in front of everyone. I stood up slowly. My legs felt weak. I walked to the front, facing 50 people who once respected me. "I did not change any data," I said. My voice shook at first, but I forced it steady. "I worked honestly. If there are errors, I will help fix them. But I did not manipulate anything." There was silence. Then something unexpected happened. Victoria's lips twitched. And suddenly, she started laughing. Not a small laugh, a full laugh. The room looked confused. "Relax, everyone," she said, still smiling. "It was a test." A test. My mind went blank. I wanted to see how Ethan would react under pressure. Leadership requires strength. And today, he showed courage. Quote. The board members smiled like this was normal. The room slowly relaxed. But I did not. My hands were still shaking, my heart still racing. She had made me believe my career was over. She had let everyone think I was a liar. People clapped. Someone even patted my back as I walked past. Victoria ended the meeting like nothing had happened. When everyone left, I stayed behind. She was gathering her papers when I spoke. That was cruel. She looked up at me, surprised by my tone. "It was necessary," she replied calmly. Pressure shows true character. "You could have warned me," I said. My voice was low but firm. I thought my life was over. For the first time, her expression softened just a little. "You handled it well," she said quietly. "I needed to know if you were ready for more responsibility." More responsibility. I should have felt proud. Instead, I felt angry, embarrassed, hurt. But under all of that, there was still the same stupid feeling in my chest. I still cared about her. That night, I could not sleep. I kept seeing her laugh, hearing the whispers, feeling the shame. And that was when I made a decision. If she wanted to test me, I would test her back. I would make her feel what I felt. I had access to the company event calendar. The annual charity gala was coming up in 2 weeks at a hotel in downtown Chicago. It was her biggest night of the year. Press, investors, everyone important would be there. An idea formed in my mind. I told myself it was just harmless payback, just a small prank. I had no idea that what I was about to do would not only backfire on her, it would change everything between us forever. I spent the next few days pretending nothing had changed, but inside me everything felt different. I still showed up early. I still worked hard. I still answered every one of Victoria's emails within minutes. But now there was a quiet fire in my chest. I kept thinking about the way she laughed while I stood there feeling like my world was ending. I told myself I was not trying to hurt her. I just wanted her to feel a little off balance. Just once. The annual Carter & Company Charity Gala was the biggest event of the year. It was held at the Grand River Hotel in downtown Chicago. Reporters would be there. Investors would be there. Important people from all over Illinois would attend. Victoria always made a speech at the end of the night. She controlled every detail, from the lighting to the music. And I had access to the presentation system. Part of my job was preparing the video that played behind her during the speech. It showed the company's achievements, smiling employees, charity work, and photos of her shaking hands with city leaders. It was polished and perfect, just like her. One evening, after everyone left the office, I stayed behind. The city lights outside the windows looked soft and quiet. I sat at my desk staring at the gala presentation file. My heart was beating fast, but not from fear, from something else. Excitement, maybe. Or revenge. I opened a folder that most people did not know about. During company retreats, we sometimes recorded casual behind-the-scenes videos. Funny moments. Team-building games. Even clips of Victoria when she thought the camera was off. She had a different side when she was not in front of the board. She would laugh freely. She once spilled coffee on her white blouse and made a joke about firing herself. There was even a clip where she tried to dance at last year's holiday party and tripped over a speaker. Nothing serious, nothing harmful, just human. I stared at those clips for a long time. Then I dragged one into the main presentation file. My plan was simple. Right before her speech ended, instead of the final serious slide, a short 30-second clip would play. It would show her tripping at the holiday party and laughing. It would not ruin her career. It would just embarrass her a little. Just enough to make her feel exposed the way I had. I told myself it was fair. As I edited the file, I felt my anger calm down. It felt good to have control again. I saved the changes and uploaded the final version to the event system. The next 2 weeks passed slowly. Victoria treated me the same as always. Calm, professional, distant. But sometimes I caught her watching me during meetings, not in a cold way, in a thoughtful way. It made me nervous. One afternoon, she called me into her office again. I stepped inside, careful this time. "You have been quiet lately," she said, sitting behind her desk. "I have been focused," I replied. She studied my face like she was trying to read my thoughts. "You are still upset about the test." It was not a question. "I handled it," I said. "That is not what I asked." There was something softer in her voice. It confused me. "I did not like being humiliated," I admitted. Her jaw tightened slightly. That was not my intention. It felt like it. Silence filled the room. The city skyline behind her looked gray and heavy. "I push people because I expect more from them," she said finally. "I expected more from you." The way she said it made my heart skip, not in a professional way, in a personal one. Before I could answer, her assistant knocked and reminded her about another meeting. I left her office with my thoughts even more tangled than before. The night of the gala arrived. The Grand River Hotel ballroom looked stunning. Crystal chandeliers glowed above round tables covered in white cloth. Soft music played as guests in formal clothes filled the room. I wore a black suit that felt tighter than usual. My palms were sweating. Victoria entered the ballroom like she owned it. She wore a deep blue gown that matched her eyes. Her hair was down for once, resting over her shoulders. She looked less like the Ice Queen and more like a woman. When she saw me, she walked over. "You look sharp tonight, Ethan," she said. My throat felt dry. "You look amazing." For a second, something warm passed between us. Then, cameras flashed, and she turned away to greet investors. The dinner went smoothly. Speeches from board members came and went. Finally, it was time for her. She stepped onto the stage, confident and calm. The lights dimmed. The presentation began behind her, showing images of charity events and smiling children. I stood near the back of the room, close to the control table. My heart was pounding so loud I could barely hear her voice. She spoke about growth, about responsibility, about leadership. The audience listened carefully. Then she reached the final part of her speech. "Before I close tonight," she said, "I want to thank someone who reminded me what real courage looks like." My breath caught. The screen behind her went black for a second. This was it. Instead of the serious final slide, the clip I added began to load. But what appeared on the screen was not the holiday party video. It was me, standing in the conference room 2 weeks ago, looking scared but trying to stay strong. The room was silent. Then my own voice filled the ballroom speakers. "I worked honestly. If there are errors, I will help fix them. But I did not manipulate anything." I felt the blood rush to my face. The video continued. It showed the moment she laughed and announced it was a test. But then it cut to something I had never seen before. A camera angle from the side of the room. Victoria watching me after the meeting ended. Her face did not look amused. It looked proud. The video ended with a close-up of her saying quietly, "He is ready." The lights came back on. I stood frozen as every guest turned to look at me. Victoria stepped forward, her voice steady but softer than usual. "Ethan Brooks has been promoted to Senior Marketing Director, effective immediately." Applause filled the ballroom. I could barely breathe. My prank never played. Instead, she had planned something completely different. And as she looked at me from the stage, her eyes were no longer cold. They were vulnerable. And suddenly, I realized something that made my stomach drop. I had tried to embarrass her, but she had just trusted me in front of the entire city. And I still had not removed the other file from the backup system. The applause felt loud and distant at the same time. People around me were smiling, clapping, shaking my hand. Someone from the board hugged me. Reporters lifted their cameras. I stood there trying to process what had just happened. Senior Marketing Director. Victoria stepped down from the stage and walked straight toward me. Her blue dress moved softly as she crossed the ballroom floor. The lights above made her look almost unreal. When she stopped in front of me, the room felt smaller. "Congratulations," she said quietly, so only I could hear. I swallowed. "You knew?" Her lips curved slightly. "I always know what is in my system." My stomach dropped. She leaned closer, her voice calm but direct. "Did you really think I would not review the final presentation before my biggest night of the year?" Heat rushed to my face. She knew about the prank. "I was going to remove it," I said quickly. It sounded weak even to me. "But you did not," she replied. There was no anger in her voice. That made it worse. "I am sorry," I said. And I meant it. For a second, her strong mask slipped. I saw hurt in her eyes. Not anger, not disappointment. Hurt. "You wanted to embarrass me," she said softly. I wanted you to feel what I felt, I answered. My chest felt tight. You humiliated me in front of everyone. She held my gaze. I never meant to humiliate you. But you did. The music started playing again as the event moved on, but it felt like we were standing alone in that giant room. She glanced toward the balcony doors. Walk with me! We stepped outside onto the hotel balcony. The cool Chicago night air hit my face. Below us, the city lights stretched across the dark streets. Cars moved like small glowing lines. For a moment, neither of us spoke. I grew up in this business, she said finally. Her voice was different out here, softer, less controlled. My father tested me the same way, in front of the board, in front of investors. He believed pressure builds strength. I listened quietly. When he died, she continued, everyone expected me to fail. I had to prove I was stronger than fear. She turned to look at me. When I tested you, I was not trying to hurt you. I was trying to see if you could stand beside me. Beside her, the words echoed in my head. You could have told me, I said. If I warned you, it would not have been real. I shook my head slowly. You do not get to break someone to see if they are strong. The wind lifted a strand of her hair across her face. She did not move it away. You are right, she said quietly. That surprised me. I should have handled it differently, she added. Silence filled the space again. The sounds of laughter and music drifted from inside the ballroom. I found your prank, she said after a moment. I closed my eyes briefly. I know. You chose a harmless clip, she said. You did not try to damage my image. I am not that kind of person. I know, she said. There was something in the way she said it, something warm. I almost let it play, she admitted. My eyes snapped open. What? I thought maybe I deserved it. Her honesty caught me off guard. Why did you not? Because I do not want us fighting like children, she said. I want you on my side. My heart started racing again, but this time it was not from fear or anger. Why? I asked. She stepped closer, not enough to touch, just enough that I could feel her presence. Because you are the only one in that building who speaks to me like I am human. The city noise below felt distant. My chest felt tight in a different way now. You scare me, I admitted. Her eyebrow lifted slightly. I scare everyone. No, I said softly. You scare me because I care. The words were out before I could stop them. Her expression changed completely. The strong CEO disappeared for a second, and I saw a woman who looked almost unsure. Ethan. She said my name like it meant something more. I should not have tried to embarrass you, I continued. I was hurt, and I acted like a child. You were hurt because of me, she replied. Yes. She stepped even closer now. There was barely any space between us. I do not want to hurt you, she said. The way she looked at me made my heart feel like it might explode. Inside the ballroom, someone started calling her name. They were waiting for her. She did not move. If you stay in this company, she said quietly, things will not be simple. They have never been simple. Her eyes searched mine like she was looking for something certain. You are my senior marketing director now, she said, and you are also the man who tried to prank me. A small smile touched her lips. And you are the woman who almost let him, I replied. For the first time, she laughed softly, not the sharp laugh from the meeting, a real one. But before the moment could turn into something more, her assistant opened the balcony door. Miss Carter, the press wants a photo. She straightened slightly, the CEO mask returning. I am coming, she said. Then she looked at me one last time before walking inside. Do not leave tonight, she said quietly. I watched her step back into the bright lights of the ballroom. I stood alone on the balcony, my thoughts spinning. She knew about my prank. She promoted me anyway. She almost let it play. She said she wanted me beside her. But one question kept repeating in my mind. Did she want me beside her as an employee or as something more? I stayed on that balcony longer than I meant to. The cold night air helped clear my head, but it did nothing to calm my heart. Inside, cameras flashed again. Laughter rose and fell. The city moved like nothing important was happening. But something important was happening to me. When I finally walked back into the ballroom, Victoria was standing near the stage with a group of reporters. She looked confident again, answering questions with smooth, careful words. But when her eyes found mine across the room, something softer passed between us. After the photos and final speeches, the guests slowly began to leave. The music grew quieter. Staff members started clearing tables. It was close to midnight when the ballroom was almost empty. She was standing alone near the windows when I walked over. "You told me not to leave," I said. "I am glad you listened," she replied. Up close, she looked tired, in a way I had never noticed before. Not weak, just human. "Are you angry with me?" I asked. She shook her head. "No." "Disappointed?" She hesitated. "A little, not because of the prank, but because you thought I would enjoy humiliating you." Her words hit me hard. "I did not think you enjoyed it," I said slowly. "I thought you did not care." Her expression shifted. "I care more than I show," she said quietly. The room was silent, except for the soft sound of glasses being packed away. The chandeliers above us dimmed slightly as staff turned off sections of lights. "You make it hard to see that," I said. "I learned to hide it," she answered. "In this world, showing feelings can be used against you." "And what about with me?" I asked. She held my gaze. "That is what I am trying to figure out." My pulse quickened. "Victoria," I said carefully, "when you tested me, it hurt, not just because of my job. It hurt because it came from you." Her breath caught slightly. "I did not expect to matter that much to you," she admitted. "You do." There it was again. The truth I had tried to hide for 3 years. The last of the staff left the ballroom, giving us privacy without even realizing it. "I have spent my whole life building walls," she said softly, "and you walked in and argued with me in front of my own board." I almost smiled. "That was not planned." "I know," she replied. "That is why it meant something." She took a step closer. I could see the reflection of the city lights in her green eyes. "When I promoted you tonight," she continued, "it was not just about work. I trust you more than anyone in that building." Trust. The word felt heavier than the title she gave me. "I do not want to play games with you," she said. "No more tests. No more tricks." I let out a slow breath. "Me neither." She reached up slowly, almost unsure, and touched my sleeve. It was the smallest touch, but it felt electric. "Ethan," she said softly, "if we cross this line, there is no going back." I knew what she meant. Office rumors, board pressure, media gossip, a CEO and her senior director. "Do you want to cross it?" I asked. Her eyes searched mine one more time. "Yes," she said. There was no cold tone, no mask, just honesty. I moved closer, giving her time to step back if she wanted to. She did not. For the first time since I had known her, there was no power between us, no CEO, no employee, just two people standing in a quiet ballroom after midnight. "I am not afraid of pressure," I said softly. "You already proved that." A small smile touched her lips. "And I am not afraid of being human," she replied. When she kissed me, it was not rushed, not dramatic, just warm and certain. The kind of kiss that ends a war and starts something new. The tension that had been building for weeks melted away. All the anger, all the pride, all the hurt, it faded into something softer. When we pulled back, she rested her forehead lightly against mine. "You almost embarrassed me tonight," she whispered. "You almost destroyed my career," I whispered back. She smiled. "We are even." "Not quite," I said. She raised an eyebrow. "You still scare me a little." She laughed softly. "Good, keeps things interesting." Outside the tall windows, the Chicago skyline glowed in the dark. The night felt full of possibility. "I meant what I said," she added quietly. "I want you beside me." "Then no more cruel pranks," I said. "Deal." "And no more revenge plans," she replied. "Deal." We stood there for a long moment, holding on to something fragile and powerful at the same time. My plan to embarrass her had backfired in a way I never expected. Instead of pulling us apart, It forced us to face what was already there. The anger, the pride, the tension, the attraction. All of it had been building under the surface for years. As we walked out of the empty ballroom together, not as CEO and employee, but as partners stepping into something uncertain, I realized something simple. Sometimes the worst mistake you make leads you exactly where you were meant to be.